Yeah, I called it. To get right into it, Band of Brothers, the third episode of Walking with Dinosaurs 2, is my favorite so far. Everything from the designs of the young Gastonia to his name just being George, just a fun name to say and hear throughout the episode. The story he goes through, and especially the paleontology segments with Jim Kirkland and his team. It is just so good. It's just surpasses everything else that this series has shown and will show. Spoiler alerts for the latter three episodes. But I mean, does it really matter? You'll have to see my opinions on those when they come out. Anyways, to go down my usual list, my favorite design of this episode has to be the Gastonia. And while in many shots it looks okay, whenever the light hits the models just right, they look really, really good. Like you can just tell exactly where the shadows just hit and just how much shading you get. It's really good when you just get that perfect angle. That's not to detract from the other models either, as the Utah Raptors look very cool. And while the lead male does give me big Jurassic Park builder Spinosaurus vibes, the females look like young deer, and yet it somehow works. Just something nice to see. I've heard somewhere that using ungulates as inspiration for feathered carnivores is a good idea. Might have been somewhere on PaleoStream, but regardless, here it really shows that it works. And then there's the Planocoxa, which, while it only has a handful of scenes, the model looks really good. Even if it was repurposed for the Chemchem ornithopod for the river dragon, it's just a really high quality model for a dinosaur that's really only relegated to the background. This episode has the best story of any of the episodes we've seen so far, including episode 4. As a comparison, this is a better version of the early Cretaceous segment of When Dinosaurs Roamed America, especially since the raptors don't end up being in flames because of hunger pangs, let alone just end up actually being raptors rather than just Suski Tyrannus in a feathered raptor cosplay. Regardless, a big reason as to why story hits so hard is likely because of how intertwined it is with the paleontology segments. As we follow the team in Utah as they excavate George, as well as the block of raptor that was the center of the Utahraptor project, it's just so cool to see a project that I've known about since middle school actually get more attention through this series. And honestly, it's just really cool to see progress be done and just how much more like material we now have of Utah Raptor. It feels like it's now an actual dinosaur rather than just a collection of fragments. There's just so much more about this animal we can learn due to more material being funded for research. It's just really great. This episode is the highest scoring episode I have so far, ending off at a 9.5 out of 10. Near perfect. Does have some things it could work on, but overall, it's just a really good episode. And now for The Pack. If Band of Brothers was comparable to the early Cretaceous segment of When Dinosaurs Roamed America, The Pack is comparable to Little Daz's Hunt. And if I'm being honest, I still like Little Daz's Hunt more. That's definitely not to detract from what The Pack does, which I do think is great. Little Daz's Hunt is just one of my favorite pieces of paleo media of all time. I'm sorry. What this episode does is give us the perspective of a newcomer to a pack, how the pecking order works, and how these animals socialize and work with each other. One detail that makes the entire episode for me is the difference between Rose and the rest of her pack. Rose is a vibrant rose pink, get it, coloration on her, while her mate and the rest of the pack sport a teal blue color. It draws focus to her as a focus character while also reminding us of how she is a newcomer to the pack. On the topic of designs, the Edmontosaurus model is reused again, making it the most prominent model in the show. Cryodracon looks really good, but what can you say when you have one of the best pterosaur researchers and artists on your team? The Albertosaurus is really good, as I stated before, and the wild card up for this episode is the Aheranoceratops, who not only has a really good color scheme, but a great model as well. My favorite model in this episode, while almost was the Aheranosaurus, is actually an individual, and that is the matriarch. She looks so unbelievably good that I cannot put it into cohesive words. From the scarring and the darker palette to the faint teal blue like her children, and even just that light texturing and darker parts of her pattern, it looks so much different, yet it still looks so good. Now that that's out of the way, another thing I like about this episode is how the Edmontosaurus are still a threat to the Albertosaurus, with, spoiler alert, Rose's mate getting isekai'd by one of them, by Truck Edmontosaurus. That's absolutely amazing, and while it just seems somewhat out of place, who cares? I think it's funny and I support it. This episode gets a score of 7.5 out of 10. And with that, I ask you to tune in next time to the finale and the only episode that takes place in the Jurassic. And with that, I'm also going to review the series as a whole. So please be sure to check out that video when it comes out in, like, I don't know, 6 months. Who knows? I promise it won't take that long. It's recording right after this.